This series on Netflix takes me out every single time. If you have not watched I Am a Killer, let me break it down for y'all. Okay, let me tell you how it messes with your emotions. The first 30 minutes, it's interviewing the killer and everything in their perspective and why they're in jail and what happened that day. And you know, a lot of the times I'm like, oh my God, they had to defend themselves. And then the second half is the prosecution who has all the evidence. The victims' families are speaking. You're like, son of a... That's right. That's what they do. Okay. However, season 6, episodes 1 and 2, oh my God, killed me. And if you want to watch those episodes, keep scrolling because I'm going to tell you about the case of crazy behind here, Candy Dominguez. Candy Dominguez, had this boyfriend by the name of Daniel Lopez, and he supposedly was in the Texas Mexican Mafia. Now, Candy also had a cousin. His name was Jose Menchaca, and she was a single mom and seemed to always struggle, and her cousin always helped her out however he could. So she started dating Daniel, and supposedly people told her, you know, be careful, he has anger issues, yada, yada. She goes to meet with her cousin to do a drug deal. It was her and Daniel and the cousin. Fight broke out. The cousin supposedly ends up giving the boyfriend a puncture wound. So Daniel Lopez recovers, etc., and tells Candy, according to the first part of the episode, tells Candy, I need you to have your cousin come here, because I'm going to finish this. And if you don't set up your cousin, then I'm going to unalive your kids. So she stated that under duress, she had no choice but to have her cousin come. So her cousin came, and in front of her cousin, he was essentially beaten with a bat. Okay? Police get a report stating that there's a smell coming from a house. They arrive, and of course, it's Candy's house. And sure enough, they go outside. There's a smell. They discover the body, and they also look at the barbecue. It looks like some of it was in the barbecue, etc. Okay. When she's brought in to be interrogated, she was like, I can't talk. They're gonna unalive my family. I can't talk. And they're like, oh, so you don't want to talk to us? Okay, whatever. So they end up speaking to her boyfriend, etc. And at the end of the day, they end up arresting her and the boyfriend. When they arrest her, she finally gives in and says, look, this is what happened. I did not want to do this to my cousin. I didn't have a choice. He threatened me with unaliving my kids. I didn't have a choice. And one of the detectives talked about the fact that he felt bad because he did feel that she was under duress. Just looking at Daniel Lopez's lengthy violent history. They believed her story. And they also found information where supposedly Daniel Lopez had unalived his ex-girlfriend. Now, they could bring it up in the trial, but they couldn't prosecute him for it. That's a whole nother story there. Okay. So Daniel Lopez ends up getting life. Okay. Without, I believe, the possibility of parole. Then it was her turn to be sentenced, and she was in utter shock. Well, actually, she wasn't in shock. The attorneys were when she got 30 years. Because they're like, she gave you guys all the information. She was under duress. And there's a law in Texas, however, that states that if you know about the crime, you got to be prosecuted. So they were like, she was under duress 30 years, yada, yada. And of course, you're like, oh my God, like she literally helped them. What happened? Well, what had happened was time passed and they started reading letters, okay? She's in jail and she's messaging this Daniel Lopez, telling him how much she loves him and how they are Bonnie and Clyde. Then they interview Daniel. And Daniel says, there's a lot of people scared of me, but she's not one of them. She's not one of them. Well, guess what? To add to the story, the cousin didn't go there alone. The cousin took his girlfriend. And she was tied up for days and ended up escaping. Comes to the police and tells the police, they're going to unalive my family. They're going to unalive my family. And they're like, please tell us what happened. Candy called us over. In front of Candy, they did this to my boyfriend. And my boyfriend the whole time was screaming for his cousin Candy. And I kept telling him, stop screaming for her. She's the reason we're here. She was a willing participant. She helped them tie me up, put me in the room and everything. She knew about it the entire time, willing, and did it in front of her kids. Now, the mom of the cousin, Jose Menchaca's mother, so her aunt, was like, I should have never trusted her with him. And you start like, what y'all mean? Sure enough, they got video of Candy talking about, yeah, you know, after he unalived him, it started smelling. And I went and I told Daniel, I'm going to need you to do something. You're going to have to barbecue him or do something because I can't have my house smelling. Ma'am, I thought you were under duress. And she was like, you know, yeah, it sucks that my cousin was unalive, but it's nothing personal. It's just business. That's exactly how she talked. 30 years, that judge knew what he was doing because they had additional evidence. Thankfully, that girlfriend escaped. She was tied up for days. And what's insane about all of this is the fact that, as I mentioned, she's serving 30 years in prison. They interviewed her kids. And you know, her kids were young and saw the entire thing. Everything she did to the cousin. Yeah. So, y'all can't even trust your family members. I can't even. Again, this is I Am a Killer. I'm going to keep giving you guys episodes about this show because when I tell you it's insane, it's insane. Talk to you soon.